Happy Sunday lunch hour, guys. All right, so last night a few of you were asking for a garden tour or yard tour or whatever you want to call it here, and I wanted to get a couple of things done and just ran out of time yesterday. But so I thought I'd show you what's kind of going on here for mid-June. So let me kind of flip this over. We'll walk through some of this. All right, so Mrs. P's elephant ears. She likes these. They kind of make for a nice screen from the garden a little bit, but they are what they are. So these are my red potatoes, and as you can see, they are flowering and very healthy, nice and green. They're probably 2 feet high, whatever. These definitely have a while to go before harvest, so chugging on along through with those. Bush beans. I've got a whole patch of bush beans, and I know what everybody's going to say. They're like, oh, how are you going to harvest those? If you start looking at the times these get harvested, you'll see, okay? Because the potatoes will come out before my beans start coming in, and so that'll give me access before I plant something else in the potato garden to pull out my beans, yada, yada, yada. So it's kind of a different way of crop rotation, but I try to pack everything I can into any inch of space I have. Corn. Now, me growing up in the Midwest, knee-high by the 4th of July was always the kind of rundown on it. Well, these are, for tall me, waist-high by the 12th of June, so doing well. But I wanted to really show you one thing here. This is what somebody was asking last night about the weed barrier. And I want you to look in here. Okay, there's the weed barrier. But notice there are very, very, very few weeds. I mean, there's one right in the center there, a couple plants back, if you can see, that's growing through the hole. But I'm not having any competition with the corn. So the corn is getting all the nutrients, and corn, of course, is high nitrogen, so you guys know how I do that, my organic fertilizer. This is why I'm sweaty. This is what I was just finishing prepping here this morning. This is where my peas were up until yesterday. I harvested all the pea seeds. So what's going to go in here is melons, because they like to trellis. And one of y'all sent me some of these. So a Hales cantaloupe, which is about a 4-pound cantaloupe, and Crenshaw melons, which I guess is a cross between a cantaloupe and a cassava melon. I've never even heard of them, so I looked it up this morning. It's like, okay, that was pretty cool. And then, of course, I've got my honeydews that I will plant as well. So that's what's going to go in these trellises. Okay, so these are my white potatoes. Big difference from my red ones, right? These are Kennebec whites. They are early potatoes. These are very close to ready for harvest. As you can see, they are dying off. They are turning yellow. You know, of course, there's some Johnson grass in here, the bane of every southern gardener, but these are about ready to go, and then this will be turned over, and depending on how many potatoes I get, we'll see if we go back and plant potatoes more, or if we put a different crop in there. All right, so then as we chug on around, this was one of my yesterday projects, as you can see, limbing trees, with a corgi walking around in the background, enjoying his morning. Mrs. P is out watering flowers. So we'll go over to the next garden. Let's see what's in this one. All right, so we'll start on this end. This is where I was harvesting garlic last week, and I put in daikon radishes, and you can see, again, they are all coming up. If you're not familiar with what daikon radishes are, they're like an Asian radish. They're like a carrot. They are a deep triangular root vegetable, looks like a carrot, except they're white, and they can get huge. You know, huge up to like 2 feet long. So, but they are really good in soups and stews and stuff. Marconi peppers. Haven't harvested any off of these yet. It's probably still just a bit early, but I'm getting all the flowers and everything, so they should be okay. This is where I was pulling beets yesterday, and what I talked about on the live stream last night. There's the difference between using weed barrier and not. There's no weed barrier in there. It's been the last time I do that, okay? Because here's my jalapenos. Those are the second planting. That's the first planting. Notice there's no weeds. Weeds? No weeds. Guess what I'm doing from now on? I'm still waiting to see pictures from you guys on these. These are the black crim tomatoes. So none have got ready to harvest yet, but you can see we're getting good bunches of tomatoes in there. Kind of hard to see, but you got to look for them. But they're in there. I probably got to go through and thin this out a little bit because it's getting a little bit too bushy and I need some of the air circulation. Onions. Lots of onions in our garden this year. And they are all at bulbing phase. You can see I gave them their second haircut and there's not a whole lot more green growth. So that means they are bulbing at this point, which is good. We pulled one the other day just to see. I got 300 or something like that, 265 I think. And it was about golf ball size, so still going along. Our pickling cucumbers, we've already harvested a good amount of these, but they keep going. So little pickles moving on along, you know, little ones and medium-sized ones. We've got a couple of huge ones that we've missed. Oh, there's one in right there, back in there. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it looks like I've got enough to make another jar of pickles in here. Okay. So I'll move on along to a couple of new things that you guys haven't seen. This is what Mrs. P and I were working on yesterday, is planting a bunch of flowers. Now, reason why we did all that is obviously we want to attract pollinators. You saw how long it took me to walk from the garden over here. But the other thing I'll tell you is this. They're all perennials, so I plant it once and I'm done. But right now, Rural King has all their plants on clearance, 40% off. So I figured, hey, we'll buy some of these, and then I can propagate from there. But these are some other ones. There's some comfrey, you know, a couple of different butterfly attractant plants. You know, go with what we can. And then, of course, all the wood chips is from ripping up all the trees from the pond, which is where I will walk you to next, because everybody keeps asking. So here's where we are. But walk over yonder. It's got more water in it than it did the last time you all saw it. But there we go along the stumps. But there you can see how far the water is. It's finally past the stumps. But it is not close to the backside yet. So it's gonna take a while, but it's holding water and doing what it's supposed to. Okay, moving on to the third garden as we chug on through everything. Let's see what we got here. Okay, first one are Bartelli tomatoes. These are little cherry tomatoes. This is one that one of y'all turned me on to last year, and then I got some. But I want you to look at the amount of tomatoes that you get on this thing. I mean, there's stacks of tomatoes on this. We had hundreds, if not thousands, of tomatoes last year, and we've got more plants this year. But you can see nice big cherry tomatoes, none are red. Asparagus, just doing its thing. These are my pepperoncini. Oh, what do you know? There's the first one starting on that big plant. Okay, so they are a little slower to grow, but they are coming along. More onions, same story. Acorn squash, and again, same thing. You know, they're crawling into the onions. Why? Because I'll be pulling the onions before the acorn squash are ready. This is what I'm waiting for today, is to see how my carrots are doing. So I guess we'll do this right here. Let me at least flip one of these. And I see a bunch of roots stuff. Hope that's not, that should be all carrots. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's carrots all started up like crazy. They're white. That was ready to pull. So I will get this off as soon as I'm done with the video. Go from there. Here is another kind of tomato. This one's called Champagne Bubbles. I'm not overly impressed with this one. I showed you the Bartellis. There's some tomatoes on this. There's some more in there. There you go, you can see that. But this does not have nearly the production of the Bartellis. So we'll see how this goes over the summer, but it might not. This might be the last time I try these. Scarlet runner beans. I just love these when they put them on the teepee. They look like Christmas trees with the little red ornaments on it and everything like that. Very pretty. So no beans yet, but it's early. I'm not expecting them. We'll do that. And then we'll take a walk over to the last garden. See what we got over here. All right. So on this end, the original Japanese cucumbers. These are those real long ones. So if you look at that one right there, you'll see that one's probably 5 inches long so far. So we got plants at different stages. That one and that one are the first two. That one and the one down in the end were the second two. And then we've got little ones to fill in that got eaten by critters or whatever. But we're getting cucumbers out of those. We will walk into the next spot. Banana peppers. And we've been harvesting these. As you can see here, there's good sized banana pepper that's longer than my finger. So there's a bunch of them in there. I'll probably get at those today. Pick those all up. Go from there. This is a bush tomato, if you see. It's called Siberian Early. And I wanted to look at something. Yeah, they're okay. All right. But there's a bunch of tomatoes on there. There's on this plant right here is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I count 15 on that plant. So I'll take it. More onions. Imagine we're going to have a lot of onions. Zucchini. 4 of my 6 zucchini plants are up. I'm not worried about it. You guys know about zucchini. It's prolific. So if my zucchini does well, it's not doing as well as my acorn squash. But if it does well, great. If not, I know Mountaintop Preps will have plenty of zucchini to share. Cabbage. Pretty much we've harvested all the cabbage except for 3 heads there in the back. We'll get those, make some more kimchi or something out of there. This is another good old Russian tomato. This is the one I can never pronounce, but you can see the size of these tomatoes. If you let's see if you can. Here you go. That one's the size of a baseball already. Yep, just dead deal. Okay, so good size. Those are kind of like a beefsteak tomato, but those are cool. And then last but not least, green peppers. Here, typical bell peppers. We've harvested a couple off of them so far. We've got little ones again. Nothing. There's a couple of smaller ones, but you'll see in there. Got some peppers. Nothing worth harvesting yet, but peppers like hot weather. We're gonna get that here in the next week. I think I told you guys it's supposed to be like 96. So, all right. So there's a mid-June vegetable garden, flower garden tour, and you wonder why I'm all sweaty. This is everything we've been working on. So if you want a big picture, a whole thing here, I'll shoot this around from the backyard. There's a big picture of everything we got going on. So if you look right in the center, way out in the back, that's where we started. And then moving on along to all of this stuff. So having fun, back to work. Mrs. P is watering, and I got about 2 hours before it's just going to get unbearably hot out here. And that will be the end of working outside, and I think her plan is pickling garlic today. So that'll be our next deal. Enjoy your Sunday, guys. Pinball out.